Hi, my rosebuds. I hope everybody's doing well.
And whatever you did today, that it was a good thing, productive thing, and that you're all kicking back and just enjoying yourselves right now. Welcome to another Heart to Heart with Rosie. And that's me. I'm glad you could join me. And today I kind of want to talk a little bit about something that I went through, and I'm sure a lot of you have gone through, and probably you are going through. A lot of mothers, fathers, caregivers, guardians, they're the ones that are probably, um, they're the ones that would experience this more than anyone else. I'm sure the kids would too. And what I'm talking about is the empty nest syndrome. Well, as you all know, I have a son. He is a grown man now, living on his own, taking care of his business, paying his bills, doing his thing, working, trying to get his life on track or setting it in the right direction so everything will, work out well for him. Because I won't be here forever. I know he doesn't like when I say that. Anyway, we used to live in Brooklyn, and I decided to move because I wanted to purchase a home. I had a friend of mine who also lived in Brooklyn who purchased a home out in Jersey. And let's just say I kind of followed her. She was my best friend. Um, she is also a single mom. She has two kids, a boy and a girl. And she moved out to New Jersey. She bought a home as well and moved out to New Jersey. I followed, I am going to use that word, I followed her maybe a year or year and a half later. All of this transpired after I lost my mom. God rest her soul. And I wanted a change. My son did not really like the vibe, the scene, the community in Brooklyn. And neither did I. I was kind of getting tired of it. It just wasn't my thing anymore. I just wasn't quite comfortable there. So I picked up. Well, this is like a year later, and we moved to New Jersey. While in New Jersey, he still had to finish his last year of high school. And what I did was I had a friend, or my sister had a friend, who lived in the Bronx. And she actually asked her if it was okay for him to stay there during the week. And then on weekends, he would come home to Jersey. Well, not every weekend that was possible. So basically, he was on his own most of the time. I would go to visit, but it didn't make sense for me to drive all that way from Jersey to come to New York to pick him up, then to drive back like a day later to drop him off. It was a lot of gas, a lot of tolls. Needless to say, he finished high school, graduated, getting ready for college, and we were out in New Jersey. We were a little ways out of New Jersey. We were about an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, or hour and 5 minutes, if that much, on a good day when there's no traffic. And we were out in New Jersey, and we loved the community out there. Was really good, very quiet. We had a condo, a two-bedroom condo, upstairs, downstairs, in a very nice neighborhood. They were fairly new. I wanted to say they were 5, 6 years old, probably before I actually purchased. But while he was there, we're getting ready for college because he had to go off to school, which was upstate New York, which is about a 4 hour drive for me if I needed to see him or he needed to be home. During that time, I don't think I felt like I would have missed him. I know he was going away, but I didn't think much of it then. And we were prepping, went to Bed Bath and Beyond, Got all the blankets, all the sheets, all the towels, the laundry bags, the shower caddy, the everything that you could think of that a college kids would need, the blankets and all this stuff. Because upstate New York is pretty cold. So we did all of that, and when it was time for him to move, I got a friend to go with me because I would have to actually spend the night as well. When he was ready to go off to school, I would have to do that. So I did that. They had the orientation, which I had to be at. So we got there. Um, I checked into the hotel, or did I went to the school first? But in any event, I still had to check into the hotel because I had to spend the night there. I wasn't going to drive back home because I wanted to basically spend the weekend with him before he started off school. I wouldn't just drop him off and then leave him. So we got there, and he's nervous as hell. I'm nervous. I'm excited because it felt like I was going to school because I never went to school here. So it felt like I was the one that was going off to college. We took him there, helped him unload the stuff to his dorm, help him set up, where he could probably put certain things, kind of organize, his bins, his, stuff like that. So that was an exciting time for me. I know he was glad, but I think he was a little sad that he was going to be away from home and away from me. I expected like a 2 hour school away, but not a 4 hour. So that was kind of tough. But in any event, we did get him settled in. We went to orientation. Well, I did the whole orientation thing with him. And after that, we went to get some food, brought him back to campus because he was on campus. He was on campus for the first year. Um, Brought him back to school, and he stayed at the dorm. The next day, I was able to see him before heading back home, but not for very long. And we hung out for a bit in the yard, of course. We didn't go to the dorm, walked around the schools because during the orientation, we kind of figured out where, or they showed us where certain rooms were, classes, the buildings, and stuff like that. So we kind of got a geographical sense of where stuff was. So Sunday was kind of like easy breezy. Said our goodbyes and heading back home. And before I could head back home, I actually sat in the car and I cried. Um, it wasn't an easy task, and he's my only child. So, of course, it's going to hit right in here. Went home. He would have to call me because the rooms did not have phones. Then we did not have, did we have cell phones then? I can't even remember, but we probably did have cell phones. Don't think he did have. So he would have to call me, and he was a very shy person. He was an introvert, or he is an introvert. I'm sure he's growing out of that now, but back then he definitely was. So I was worried for him for not making friends as quickly. Um, I was also worried for him that he wasn't going to excel. I just think that he wasn't going to be very verbal and in voicing certain things, or like asking questions, the things that need to be asked, or he wasn't going to say the things that needed to be said. Anyway, I came back home. I had stuff to do with the house. I had to get it ready, furniture, knickknacks, all this stuff. So basically, I buried myself in projects. That's kind of what I did. Not to say that I did not miss him at all, but yes, it did rip me apart. The projects did not stop that from happening. Although I did them, it did not stop that from happening to me. I missed him. I missed him. I missed him. I missed him. I missed him so much. He was my life. He was my light. He was my companion. He was my friend. He was my everything. I would visit on occasion when I could. I didn't go every weekend because it was a 4 hour drive. So you figure I leave out early, try to get back. That would be a heck of a drive, just to do, by myself each time. So I would do it at least twice a month or so. When it was winter months, I didn't do it as often because the roads can be treacherous. So I really didn't do it during the winter months. But we definitely did talk a lot. After his first year, he actually moved into a private home where he was a little bit freer to move about. He had a phone that was accessible to him. It was like a boarding house. So he had a phone in the house that, was accessible to him so he could call me whenever, he wanted to. And we would chat. Um, that's where he went to study for graphic design. But I just wanted to say that that was probably one of the hardest things that I have ever gone through with him, besides having him. That was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. And I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this. I'm not sure who of my viewers have actually experienced this. And if you have, share your thoughts on how you felt. What did you do to actually keep busy and to try not to say miss them, but yes, that you wouldn't focus on missing them so much. Tell us what you did. I know I did a lot of projects. I tried to entertain in my home. I did that. But because of the distance between New York and where I was, it was kind of tricky to get folks every time to come out to visit me. Like I said, I was over an hour, and that was an hour of just straight highway. Um, don't think somebody want to do that every weekend or every other weekend. And that was another part of it too, because I had family in Brooklyn, which was hard for me to get to each time. They didn't have a vehicle at the time. They could have taken the bus actually, and I could have picked them up, but it was a long journey, to be honest, even on a bus, because the bus had to make stops eventually. So yeah, that was that was a hike, and I could understand. But I would say, and I would definitely recommend, if anybody is going through that right now, I would say find a hobby. That's what I would tell you to do. Find home projects or DIYs, whatever it is that you want to do that. Um, Maybe you could start like traveling, little weekend getaways. Not saying to go far, but like, around town in your community, a little bit ways, maybe an hour drive or so. You could probably try to, get away. Even, I don't know, take a train somewhere. Um, but that's what I would recommend you doing, to occupy your mind and your little heart that's going to miss your child so very much. Um, it's a tough one, and it was a tough decision for us whether or not we wanted to let him stay close to home or to let him go away from home. I did agree on going away from home because I know he has been with me. He's all I have. And we've been together for, the haul. And although I didn't want him to leave me, I needed for him to grow and spread his wings. I needed for him to find, to take flight and to find his wings, to find his way. And he had agreed, although he was nervous and although he knew that he was not the type of kid to, make friends easily, because he would say that to me. Sometimes we're out and I'm in the line waiting for something or buying something, and somebody would say something and I would start talking to them, and he would say, Mom, how did you do that? How you just talking to the person? How you just make a conversation? And I'm like, it's easy. And he said, I couldn't do that. I can't do that. So I know it was going to be hard for him to actually find his footing. But he did. I must say that he did, not as fast and as quickly as we would have liked or he would have liked, but he did. He was on campus. He worked on campus. He did a pretty good job. He his classes, his studies, he did very well. He excelled in most of his classes, I would say. So I think he did pretty well. When he got out to find a job, that was another story. That was another day, basically another cup of tea for that. But yeah, it took me a minute to actually come back around to, like, I didn't know what they meant by that until it happened to me. I really didn't know that what it meant. And I'm not gonna lie, it hurts. It's almost as if you had a breakup. That's how much it hurts. It bothered me so bad. But I am happy to say that we're past that. But I went through it again when he was moving away from home and going to another state to live, the state that he's in right now, which is Florida. Um, that was tough for me too, because I told myself that when he left, he was not going to call. I wouldn't hear from him because he was on his own and he wouldn't have anything to do with me. And I found everything in the book to say that he was not. And as I was saying to a friend of mine earlier, that the moments that I see he and his daughter that they were living, and I'm like, oh my God, I should have done that with my son. I should have done that with my son. I wish I did, because you know what? Looking back, it wasn't until when I was in my probably 40s, 30s or 40s, I realized that I too was an introvert. I don't know where the confidence and the high self-esteem, where all this came from, but it happened. And I know he can do it too, as much as I could have done it then back, he can do it. But yeah, he went off, he went away, and he wanted a change. He wanted to find a job that, could have helped him and, could give him the funds that he desired to get ahead in life. And I feared that he was not going to ever, not ever, but he was not going to speak to me or call. And let me tell you, that child called me every day. He called me every day. If he had to move a stone, he would call me and ask me, Mom, do you think I should move that stone? So he took my advice on a lot of things, and he confided in me. He believed in me and he trusts me. And that's what mattered the most. I was so happy that he did that. I'm not going to lie. I was very, very happy that he did that, because I was really worried that he was not going to give me much attention when he left. But he did. So between the emptiness syndrome and then when he came home, I think he came home from school after he did 2 years. So after he did those 2 years, he spent like another maybe year and a half, two, with me here in Jersey. And then he decided to leave to go to Florida. That also broke my heart, because I didn't expect him to leave me so soon. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect that. But he is grown. Um, he's a wonderful young man. He has made some decisions, even some where I have advised him not to. He did, but it all worked out. He holds his own. He doesn't call him if he doesn't have to. But he fills me in on not every little thing. He used to. Now we try to play catch up, like, every week. But I love him for that. I admire him in every which way that you can. Not because he's my son, but yes, um, he's very conscious, very logical. He's a thinker. He's a little warrior too. Have to try to teach him not to worry so much. But yeah. But if any of you ever went through the emptiness syndrome, or you are going through it now, let me know what your feelings are, because I know it took me hard. It really, really did take me down for a minute. I didn't think that I would have survived, but I did. And God bless him that he did what he had to do and he came home without incident. And I'm glad, I'm happy for that everything was well. So let me hear from you guys. I would love to hear from you. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And again, let me know your thoughts. I love you guys, and thank you for always tuning in.